We have, I'll bring in Alai, followed by Edith, followed by Gray, and then you can give Wakili after that, 4. So again, if a question
Hussein,
has, if a question
I
has been
really
asked,
don't think, or Hussein, I really don't think Allah should speak because his comments will be biased. This space is basically about what we are going through in the street. Allah doesn't know about it. In short, Allah amekuwa akiongea mbaya kwa hili story ya maandamano. I
I
really
think
don't think
Allah can
Allah
speak
can.
for himself. We can't limit anybody from speaking. Everybody has the freedom to speak here.
No,
Come on,
Allah is very bad.
so
Thank you.
let's have
Thank
the
you.
Just
debate
Grey
and
Maral can
make
speak,
it
but
short.
Allah, no, he hasn't been against this.
Thank you. Otero, I've been an advocate of freedoms for a very long time, especially when we don't agree. So I would ask you to learn that lesson that you should listen to people, especially when they don't agree with you. And that's what the president is trying to do here. We don't agree with him, and that's why we want him to listen to us, and he agreed to come to the space. And moving forward, I really want to tell the president that, Mr. President, you know that your success is our success, and we really want you to succeed. The problem is that I don't know if you really want yourself to succeed as a president of Kenya. Because from the moment you got to be the president, there are things you did which I think just sabotaged your presidency. When you decided to say that you are not going to listen to intern doctors, I said, does the president know what he's doing? Because he's touching the hearts of Kenyans. These are the people who spend most of their time in public hospitals. When the president didn't take up the matter of pending bills and tell the counties and the national government to pay the pending bills, you know that one is touching the middle class, the working class. And these are the people who mobilize their children, called Gen Zs. And they came out and said no. When you removed Linda Jamii, when we interfered with Edu Afia, when we saw your friends and very close associates working with bands of money, 10, 20 million in churches, Mr. President, I think you sabotage your own presidency. And that's why I ask myself that the president really tells us that he means well for the country. But is he really meaning well for himself? Because unless somebody else is the president who is doing all these things, the second and last question, because I don't want to spend more time, I'm an elected official in Nairobi, Mr. President, is the issue of Nairobi on-source revenue, which we have asked, we have investigated, we have been taken around. Mara, it was KRA which is collecting that money. We have taken to office of the president. Finally, we were told that it's being collected in State House by some agency. We can't get, I'm the vice chairman of ICT in Nairobi City County Assembly. But nobody knows who is collecting revenue for Nairobi City County, Mr. President. It really saddens me because if that revenue was collected in a transparent and verifiable manner, then you know, Mr. President, some of these bills would be taken up by the counties and it will not come to you in the national government so as to pay those bills, Mr. President. Those are the only questions which I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Alai. Edith?
Yeah, thank you for the chance to ask a question.
Edith, are you with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, let's go to Gray if Edith is not responding.
Hello.
All right, thank you so much.
Hello.
Hussein, this is Grayson. Hussein, can you hear me? Oteru unanisikia?
I can hear Eddie and I can hear the other gentleman.
I'd like to ask my question if you can all hear me.
Okay, let's have one person speak. Gray, speak.
All right, thank you so much, Hussein. Edith, I'm sorry. So, Your Excellency, my name is Grayson Marwa. My question to you is one, and my question is on this very, very emotive and very, topic that we love talking about as a country, which is corruption. I know you stand on corruption. You have spoken about it many times. You don't condone corruption. You don't want corruption to happen in your government. But then I want to point out something. Recently, there was a scandal, with the fertilizer, and the CS was, impeached, or a motion was tabled in the National Assembly by a member of parliament for him to be impeached. But what happened later is that, the same members of parliament from your political party, the UDO party, went ahead and saved this particular cabinet secretary. What does that speak, to your stand regarding corruption? Do you support corruption on one hand, but on the other hand, because he is your CS, these are your members of parliament, they go ahead and flop that motion that was supposed to impeach this particular cabinet secretary? My last question, as a young person, there is a challenge of jobs in this country. But a month ago or so, in the dailies, there was a freeze that the public service is not hiring anymore. What are you trying to tell young people? Yet you say each and every day you want to ensure that we give jobs to these young people who go to school but don't have jobs out here. People are, forced to do things that they shouldn't be doing and they went through the education system. If I can get a response to those two issues, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Grayson,
Do I
unaweza rudia
answer?
question tena?
Do I answer those, or I thought we said we take 3 people? Can we take maybe Eddie? Eddie was somewhere. There is a lady called Eddie was somewhere or something.
Edith Kimani.
Otero, from my end, I see she's a listener. Maybe you can add her to speak from what I'm able to see on my end.
Okay.
As we wait for the engagement, can I proceed and answer?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Alai has mentioned 3 things. Mr. Alai, I want to tell you, Mheshimiwa, that I am acutely clear that even if I don't succeed, I want Kenya to succeed. The one thing that I am very clear about is what do we do to change the status of many Kenyans? Intern doctors. There was a long conversation with intern doctors. I made sure that they were attended to. I met the leadership of the intern doctors myself, finally, and we did make an agreement on how to sort out the intern doctor situation, including I have factored in this budget with their concurrence. When I agreed with them, we were supposed to sort out their arrears in 3 years. I offered to sort them out in 1 year after I engaged with them, and the money is in the budget. As I talk to you, I have even today decided that even with a cut of the finance bill, I will still make sure that they are sorted out. The issue of pending bills. My good brother, we have pending bills in the region of 650 billion. It is the reason why I appointed Mr. Ouko, our former Auditor General, to interrogate all the pending bills for purposes of making sure that we can pay them. In fact, one of the items that I listed this afternoon, which was also in the budget, is a provision for us to begin the journey to sort out pending bills, because it is crippling businesses of people, it is destroying enterprises of Kenyans, because government is not paying. The third thing that you have said about Linda Mama or Linda Jamii and Eduafia, I have done 3 things. Maybe the explanation. Let me give you just the explanation
Itakata space.
on Linda Mama. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Mr. President. Sorry about that.
What we are doing is, under our universal health coverage, I promise the people of Kenya that we need to ensure that we don't leave other Kenyans behind. Under our universal health coverage, in which this year we now have a budget for it, we are going to scale up the benefits of Linda Mama That is why we have brought it, we have scaled it up into universal health coverage. We want it to reach more Kenyans. That's number one. Number two, we want to enhance the benefits. The benefits were 2,500 for women giving birth in hospital, in smaller hospitals, 5,000 and maximum of 17,000. We have now changed that. From 2,500, we have moved the benefit to 11,000. And we have moved the upper benefit to 32,000. That is not a derogation. That is an upgrading of Linda Mama. Number two, Edu Afya. What we are doing with Edu Afya is that we are universalizing the universal health is universalizing insurance so that every Kenyan, and you know, I made this absolutely clear, and that is why we have changed the law so that not just the students who are in school, but every Kenyan, who, even those who are not in school, will now be beneficiaries of our chief social health. We, instead of having NHIF, we are now going to have social health insurance fund, which is going to cater for everybody, to universalize access. So on both cases, Mr. Alai, we are not derogating, we are upgrading and making sure that universal health is available to many Kenyans. Finally, on Nairobi own source of revenue, I thought I heard the governor say the other day that he had increased it, he had raised more revenue than was ever raised. I'm not sure about that. But I want to tell you that that is a Nairobi County affair. You, Mr. Alai, should not be asking me. The public should be asking you, because you are the person. You are the person responsible. You are the representative of the people. You should answer that question. You should be the one to interrogate the county government. It is your responsibility of oversight. It is your responsibility of representation. It is your responsibility of legislation. You should legislate how the county resources are raised. You should oversight the county government to collect it. I just want you to take up your job and do it. Let me, Gray Marwa has asked me two very important questions. Marwa, these are very important questions about corruption. Let me say the following, just three things first. Number one, I said before that corruption must be dealt with firmly and decisively. And that is why my act number one in office, the two acts that I did in office when I came into office was number one, to make sure that I give financial autonomy to the police so that they can pursue corruption to the extent possible, and that they don't have to come back to me, and nobody in my office will control the police in as to who they want to prosecute. That's number one. And I signed, and the budget of the police is run by the IG at the moment, and they are free to go after everybody. That's number one. Number two, I made sure that the judges that had been denied the opportunity to serve and to empower our judiciary, I signed them, and I made sure that they have been gazetted and they went to work. I did not stop there. I have enhanced the budget of the judiciary from 18 billion to this year. I wanted to be at 25 billion. Unfortunately, it may come down because of the finance bill by about $1 billion or so. Number three, I am the president who has sworn in the highest number of judges in 2 years in the history of Kenya. I have sworn in maybe 46, almost 50 judges, because I have agreed with the judiciary that justice delayed is justice denied. And therefore, I want to make sure that becomes the case. Number four, on the specific incident of what happened with fertilizer, I want to tell you, as I tell the people of Kenya, those where evidence has been gathered, sufficient evidence has been gathered, they are in court. The CEO the general manager, and 7 other staff of the National Cereals and Produce Board are already in court. The minister was taken to parliament to answer for political responsibility, that to make sure that his oversight role was in question. I want to tell you this, Gray, that we are a country of the rule of law. When a person has been, when allegations are made against a person and they are not verified, there is no way that such person can be held to account. But when they are verified, like the case of the officers who worked under the minister that were verified, they are in court. I want to tell you, if a minister, if a principal secretary, if there are verified allegations of corruption against any cabinet minister and or any principal secretary, the day they are taken to court, I will fire them. I will not wait for the court process, because there will be an element of confirmation that these are people who are corrupt. Let me talk about jobs. And you have said correctly that the public service has issued a circular that there will be, there is a freeze on jobs. The public service has a freeze on jobs at different levels. People who are employed at entry level and the space around jobs is huge. Government can only hire a very small fraction. My intention, my plan is to make sure that government facilitates the economy, facilitates the private sector, facilitates the entire enterprise space to create more jobs. It is the reason why I made a deliberate commitment to the people of Kenya when I went for the elections, and I said I will focus on creating jobs. And if you want me to explain to you the areas where I am focused on creating jobs, I will. If you want me to tell you how many jobs I have created in the 2 years that I have been in office, I will tell you, from housing, from digital jobs, from going to manufacturing, all the way to export of labor. I will tell you how many jobs I have created, and I have every intention to make sure that as many Kenyans as possible have an opportunity to have an income so that they can contribute meaningfully to the development of our country. Thank you.
Ling, you can speak.
Thank you very much for this chance to maybe ask some few questions to the president. I'll be very brief. I only have 3 questions to make. One, Mr. President, is that like most of the people have said, is that your government is full of lies because of one. I want to put it clear that when Finance Bill 2023 was passed, we believe that the revenue that was going to be collected during that period were going to be used for development. Personally, I come from a Masab constituency, and on February of last year, the CS for Transport, Bonamurkomen, came to Kabiet Shrines and promised us that there is a road down there that's going to down from Kurgung to Chepterway, coming down to Kapkatembu. He said personally that since that this is a road that was left midway by the contractor, he was going to send the contractor in a record 3 months to be on site so that the road can continue so the contractor can start the construction. Up to now, we still haven't seen that. So that basically tells you that that is a liar. Number 2, I think the Gray has talked about the issue of fertilizer. You've said, Mr. President, that if you find that there is a case against the said minister, you're going to fire him. There is a case that has been filed by the Law Society of Kenya against the Minister of Agriculture. If kindly, we can tell the minister to step aside so that, trying to investigate someone who is in office becomes very hard. So let the minister step aside so that we can continue with the investigation. Number 3, I would want to talk about the arrogance. The arrogance that is in your government.